Slateport City, honestly one of my favorite places in the Hoenn region. It isn't really one of those locations with a very significant story or interesting features like I've discussed in previous videos, but I like it and I'm being told to just talk about anything and everything Generation 3, so here we go. I love the way in which the progression throughout the story of a game brings you in loops and has more areas that open up based on the information and HMs that you receive later in the game. For one thing, after making a stop in Dewford Town and earning the second gym badge, Mr. Briney brings us all the way to Slateport City on official business. And we've come so far because we're meant to deliver an important part to Captain Stern. While we did stop in Rustboro earlier, Slateport is a greater distance away and is where you really begin to feel like things have opened up. The ways in which we're given a taste of even more to come is pretty cool as well. Though first off, we arrive on a beach, amazing that Mr. Briney can just dock right here where people are sunbathing. This is a cool place, one of the first of its kind in a Pokemon game. There were shores and oceans in the past, but this is the first recreational beach with bright sand, umbrellas, and beach chairs to fill in the scene. A good place to battle against some trainers and gain some experience. But most notable is the little shack to the left. After defeating the trainers in here, the owner will give us half a dozen of his finest soda. Oh boy, I sure do love me some Diet Cola. And from here on out, we can purchase as much as we want. I'd always liked the little beverage items in Pokemon. Soda Pop is actually pretty useful at this point in the game. Also, random side thing I probably shouldn't admit, but when I was younger, I always thought the inner tubes hanging on the rack in the back were giant donuts. I mean, the dude was selling soda, I don't think that's too far-fetched. But now finally in Slateport City, we can walk into the shipyard and meet Doc, who tells us that Captain Stern is at the Oceanic Museum, which is currently where Team Aqua or Team Magma have decided to take over, waiting for their boss to arrive. When you really think about it, having a bunch of thugs like this walk into a museum would be crazy. Though during this event, there's a fun little thing that you can do. Normally there's an entrance fee for the museum, but at this point you're required to go here as part of the story. So if you show up without enough money to pay the fee, the receptionist will assume that you're with Team Aqua or Team Magma and just let you in. This is a really cool little detail, though I wish we got to wear the full outfit like in Heart Gold and Soul Silver because those uniforms go hard. Side note, that was a great moment in the Generation 4 games, and I love how Pokemon Masters with its event last year has brought back the whole Team Rocket disguise with Lyra, and now we just need Ethan to get it as well. But back to Generation 3, we can hand over the part to Captain Stern, battle some of the grunts, and their boss shows up and calls them simps.
And who's that? Oh, it's Mr. MVP! Simp!
10 out of 10 game, it has aged so well. But this is a pretty cool moment though that actually introduces us to the boss of Team Magma or Team Aqua. But of course, if you are playing Emerald version, this is where you meet Team Aqua for the first time, and it all ties in a little better because again, it is an Oceanic Museum. But regardless, they all get scared and run off. But before that, make sure you talk to one of the grunts on the first floor because if you don't, you'll miss out on the TM for Thief. If you forget to do this before meeting the boss on the second floor, then you're not able to get it. Though I really love the concept of the Oceanic Museum, it's really fitting for the Hoenn region with how much water there is. And also there's some great storytelling if you examine all of the exhibits. There's a model for the SSN, a reference to the luxury liner from the Generation 1 games, but it also served as foreshadowing for the remakes of Fire Red and Leaf Green. There is also a model of the SS Tidal, which is currently under construction, and will be finished by the end of the game. And lastly, there's a model of the undersea vessel that Team Aqua or Team Magma steal during the climax. Really cool that by taking the time to read the descriptions here, you get some information of what's to come. And that's actually kind of a theme for many other places within Slateport City. I love the market out near the beach, offering some items not normally found in regular shops. There's a vitamin salesman here, very useful for training Pokemon later on, but other than that, the most significant are the vendors selling decorations for the secret base. And keep in mind, this is before the event later on where you're explicitly told about and shown secret bases. But the decorations here are the absolute basics. Everybody had the blocks and balloons when they were first starting out. But we all need to begin somewhere. Also, you could buy extra copies of Hidden Power and Secret Power if you need to. With how Secret Power is a field move TM rather than HM, I think it's a great idea that this is a place where you can just buy as many as you want. Because imagine using up Secret Power and then not being able to have a secret base after that, that would just suck. Further tying into the things that tease you for later, this is the first time we see one of the contest halls. But you can't even participate in one right off the bat because you need a contest pass from Verdanturf Town. I think it's still kinda neat how they give you a little bit now and that has you actively seeking even more later on. I'll talk about the contest of Generation 3 at a later time and the rabbit hole that is Pokeblocks and all the rewards that you can get, mostly because I want to take the time to become the ultimate performer and do it all in one run. But other than that, most of what remains in Slateport City is focused on building a relationship with your Pokemon. One of the girls in the marketplace gives you an effort ribbon after taking a look at your Pokemon, and in the Pokemon fan club, there's a woman who gives you a Soothe Bell. The president also goes on about being amazing in Pokemon contests and suggests that you start feeding your Pokemon Pokeblocks. Again, a way of telling the player to try out some of the additional features and to eventually come back to reap some of those rewards. I like the idea of the Pokemon fan club with how it continues being a thing throughout the world after seeing one in the Kanto region. But aside from the name raider, that's basically everything there is to see in Slateport City. I was always just a big fan of this place. It isn't as much of a central location as Mauville is, but when it comes to the story that plays out, we find ourselves coming back here quite often. At one point we return to the port and witness the evil team stealing the submarine, which sets off the events of the big finale, but it's also a good way of getting the player to come back here and follow up on what was established during their first visit. Aside from all the story significance, I also love the setting and vibes. The music is so cheerful, though maybe a bit harsh with the bells at the beginning of the track, but it fits in with how boisterous the soundtrack for the entire game is. It makes me feel like I'm in the perfect beachside town with a persistent ocean breeze. Living in Southern California probably contributed to why I love Slateport City and why I think it feels like a little home in the Hoenn region. Going to the beach on weekends, taking in the sights, shopping at local businesses, and visiting the museums was really just normal for me growing up and still to this day. And now looking back on how much was here and how important it is to the overall story of these games makes me appreciate it even more. So let me know what you think about Slateport City in the comments below and what your favorite part was. I don't think I continue doing more videos like this for every single little town in the Hoenn region, but I'm definitely having fun talking about things here and there that I find interesting, so I'll always take any suggestions. And with Slateport being an entire city, it's why I didn't really bring up its anime appearances like I normally do. It's one of those things that I'll eventually end up discussing when I cover more episodes as part of like a larger story arc or concept. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this in a video before, definitely in streams, but the big picture, long-term goal of the entire channel is to at some point have talked about every single Pokemon, aspect, location, episode, whatever there is in Pokemon. So I will definitely be here for a while.
Slateport City's got beautiful beaches! Not to mention all the beautiful girls!
Yeah, who cares?
Also, make sure you tune into the Pokemon Emerald live streams that I've started doing on Fridays now, because those will let me capture even more footage of the cool things in Generation 3 for future videos. Anyway, I'm heading off to enjoy spring break in Slateport City. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, especially the great Gators, DeAndre, Viz, Justin R, Dartholomew, L Dashy, Switz Cheese, Lockadox, Caden Herb, Panchina USC, Leafy Lilith, Skyraker, Evie, Victor Bryan, Dijon, Matthew Kelly, Mushar Siddiqui, Jacksident Prone, Gallantry, Gator Kid 509, TF, Cheeseburger Lasers, Mathaclock 947, Nomad Nobi, Pastel Blood, Taijirai, Justin R, Volity, Cosmo Zero, Phantom, and Quago. If you would like to support, see your name here, get access to emotes for comments, live streams, and sometimes early videos, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I'll catch you all later.
That cheeseburger you do not want.
I do not want that cheeseburger.
Those fries give Yoda.
Here, have my fries.
Your drink desire you not.
The Diet Pepsi, I do want.
Want you not.
Do
Not want.
This summer, grab a Diet Pepsi and see Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.